Hey DIYers, it's Ricky with Fixter today, and I'm gonna show you 2 things that could dramatically increase the lifespan of your water heater. Now, your water heater should typically last between 8 and 12 years.
However, the 2 things that go beyond that are flushing your water heater and checking the anode rod.
If you have no idea what I'm talking about, that's okay, stick around. We're gonna go through these 2 things. So let's start with a quick story. I just heard about this today. Nathan was telling me that he just found out about somebody who said they had their water heater installed in 1996 and it's still going. That's almost 30 years that this water heater is alive. The water heater at my last house is now 20 years old and it's still going strong. And that's because I was doing these 2 things as regular maintenance. So once a year, the first thing that we need to make sure we do is flush our water heater, and we'll walk through that right now. Mine is a gas-powered water heater, so I want to turn off my power, right, which is, in this case, natural gas. Now this does have a little bit of electricity. We're not gonna be messing with that. It's really just like for the pilot light and stuff. But we also want to turn off the water supply. So usually somewhere here on the inlet line, looks like there's 2 of them. That's because there's a mirror that was left by a previous tenant. I'm gonna go ahead and turn that valve. So now there's no water going into my water heater. Then I can go over to the breaker panel and turn off the power too. Next, we want to find the outlet. It's near the bottom and it's a hose bib. And we want to attach a hose to that. Okay, now before we open up this valve at the bottom, just keep in mind that this water is really hot. It's like turning on your sink full blast, only heat, and running that over your hand. It could be pretty hot. So give it a little space, unless you're really into surprise steam facials. The next step's gonna be to come in here, and if you look, you'll see the top of my valve right there. It doesn't have a handle. It's just like a screw, a flathead screw. So I'm gonna grab a screwdriver, and I'm just gonna open that up. I can hear that. Didn't have to turn it very far. I don't want to unscrew that all the way out because that probably will just pop all the way out. Okay, so now to get that to empty faster, I've gone upstairs to one of the highest taps in the house, and I'm going to open up the tap, just the hot water side. That's going to allow air to go up through the tap and make it so that all the water can drain out a lot easier, a lot faster out through that water heater. Now what I'm checking for here is sediment, and I'm not really seeing much of anything coming out of there. It just looks like water, which is a good sign. If we're getting a lot of sediment, it means there is a lot more buildup and probably corrosion taking place inside the water heater. Flushing it out like this once a year is great. It's gonna help prevent buildup, but it's also gonna give us some insight into just how much corrosion is taking place. Every water heater is gonna have corrosion. Water corrodes metal. It just is that way. Inside of your water heater though, there is an anode rod. It's a sacrificial anode. That's chemistry for basically, it's the thing that's supposed to corrode instead of the water tank. And it makes your water tank last so much longer. Water heaters fail primarily because the tank ruptures. It rusts all the way through. So we prevent that by putting a rod in there, and that rod is made of magnesium, zinc, something that will corrode more easily than iron or than, the tank itself, and that way, that's what rusts instead. But that means that over time, usually 3 to 5 years, that anode rod wears out and we need to replace it. That's the second thing we would want to check today. Let me show you what that looks like. Now, typically that anode rod sits right on the top of your water heater, somewhere kind of near the middle, but not right in the middle. In this case, we don't see one here. If there was one, it would typically, you would see like a hex head. Now, sometimes it's under a piece of plastic like this. In this case, it's not. I know this is a Bradford White water heater, and Bradford White actually sneakily mixes the anode rod in with the hot water side. So the anode rod is actually attached to this nipple right here. So what I have to do to actually take out this anode rod is, instead of turning a hex head, I have to unscrew this from inside the tank. With the tank empty, we can close this valve. Now this, it turned out to just be, in my case, a 1/4 turn valve, which means I don't have to screw it or unscrew it like a hose. I just have to turn it a 1/4 turn. Now, where the line right now is perpendicular to the flow of water, that means off. If I turn it 1/4 turn, it's back on. So now I've got it off. With that valve off, I can remove the hose. With that off, we can go ahead and we can turn back on the water to the heater to fill up the tank again. With the handle perpendicular to the flow of water, it's off. So I just make it straight in line. That's typically on. Now that that's on, we'll give it just a few minutes. We want to be able to let the water heater mostly fill up. You'll be able to hear it too. You'll hear water flowing and then the water will stop flowing. And then you know the water tank is full. Then we got to turn the gas back on. So again, handle's perpendicular, that means off. I turn it in line. Now I've got gas. So now we got to start this thing back up. For that, you can usually find instructions about lighting it, like right here on it. You can see here it tells me exactly what to do. So I'm going to take my knob. This is what determines the heat, the temperature of my water. I have to press it in and hold it, and then I press the pilot light until I hear it light, and then I release the knob when the status light blinks. I got that status light blinking, which means I can release the knob. Then I turn it to the temperature I had it set at. So I had it up here at about A. Now my water heater's back on. And with that, we're done. So remember, flush your water heater about once a year, and about every 3 years or so, check that anode rod. If it's getting low, but it's still good after 3 or 4 years, then maybe check it again the next year. Doing these things are probably going to make your water heater last at least twice as long, literally saving you thousands of dollars. So it's a DIY that is absolutely worth it. Thanks for joining me today. We'll see you all in our next video.